Welcome, my League of Eagles, to Leaders in Light, Love, and Legacy. We're live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. on FavUnite Radio. I'm Joy Ruffen, your Minister of Enlightenment, Awareness, and Awakenings, and your Signature Style and Leadership Specialist. Our theme this month, and you belong here, is Let Your Light Take Center Stage. It's a moment to breathe, to appreciate your journey, and to recognize the brilliance you already have within you. Today's topic, I have a featured guest speaker that's going to talk about, and I love her title. She is Alyson Williams, and she is a self-love alchemist. Don't you love that? I do, and you're going to learn much more about that. So settle in. I could go on and tell you a little bit about her. Maybe I'll just give you a little bit about her background. Alyson is known as the Self-Love Alchemist. Her mission is to empower professional women to embrace their empowerment through self-love. I love that self-love because that's where I come from as well, and overcome barriers like imposter syndrome. We all have that to a certain extent, and how we deal with it is how we move forward. Alyson believes self-love, and so do I, and that's why my lovely lady is here, is the key to all of our success in life. Now, I could go on and on and on sharing with you much more about Alyson, but I want you to just sit back and relax and help me greet Alyson. Alyson Williams, as they say in the telly, come on up and welcome.
Thank you, Joy. I'm so happy to be here.
I am happy and over the moon to have you here. You know, Alyson, I don't have secrets, and I live in the real world, and so do you, and that's why we're connected. We had quite a few issues getting here, but we're here. We're going to have fun.
Did we watch?
Yes, we did. We're going to have fun and make the best of this. Alyson, I love your title, Self-Love Alchemist. Tell me how you came to it, because I love the premise of your foundation and what you're doing. Tell us how you came to that name.
Well, it took a little while to get here, but I was lucky to have a mum who was herself brought up to be very confident in who she was, to stand in her power, as it was. And she was born in 1923, and it was her father who, influenced her that way. So we're talking people way ahead of their time. And so I'm the youngest of five, and we were all brought up to be confident in who we were, we're also Catholic, by the way. So it's always about, follow your conscience and do the right thing. So that's virtually how I was brought up. That was the environment I was in. And I mean, no life is perfect. I had a wonderful childhood. However, later on in life, when, my life fell apart, as I say, my very comfortable life fell in on my head. And I lost my confidence and I became very withdrawn. For someone who talks a lot and I'm very out there all the time, I became withdrawn and submissive, and I just didn't know who I was. I went from being confident and outgoing to being submissive and anxious and full of fear. This did happen when I was 53. So I was sort of feeling that, I'm at this stage of my life, I'm going to have to start over again. And oh my goodness. So I went into this dark hole. And I realized that I needed to come out of it and get back to who I was. And a large part of that was based on the fact that I was brought up in this way of being very confident in who I was, knowing that I was worthy. And that's something a lot of people struggle with. So having been through that myself, having done my own personal development, when I was coaching people, I realized, you know what? A lot of us don't feel worthy, especially women. And there's a whole range of reasons for that. So I decided I wanted to do self-love. And it's easier said than done. Now, I love George Benson. I fell in love with George Benson way back when. I'm showing my age. And he, to my mind, introduced me to the song The Greatest Love of All, way before Dear Whitney, whom I loved as well. But George Benson, when he sang The Greatest Love of All, that absolutely spoke to me. And that has been the basis for me embracing self-love, even more so than my upbringing, and really wanting people and other people I come across to really feel that they are worthy. It doesn't matter where we've been. It doesn't matter what's happened to us. We are ultimately the creators of our own life. Now, I love your sorry, I talk a lot. You do have to stop.
But I love that you talk a lot, because everything that you speak to is full of wisdom. And this is why one of the main reasons the self-admiration that we have for each other is because it's genuine, real, and true. And your mom and your dad sounds like they were very visionary and innovative and pioneers in their way, because self-love is the basis of everything. I say love, truth, love, and beauty are the foundations of how we come. But yet you said you speak to mainly women because of the programming, conditioning, and the sexualizing, how we've been objectified and marginalized, many of us really don't feel worthy, and we cover it up, Alyson, with so many different ways of doing that. That's why I love what you're doing. And what you expressed to us is spot on. Now, we know that you're a self-love alchemist, and I love that. You gave me quite a few things to ponder and think about, and I want you to share your viewpoint about them. You said, because one of my theories is that we all are here to be teachers, guides, and mentors, first for ourselves and then for others. Yeah. But everyone leaves a legacy. And you said many without even knowing it. Share with us a little bit about that, because I believe that. I know that.
And I must admit, I actually took the outline for what I wanted to talk about based on the title of your show. And I do believe that firstly, we are all leaders, whether we want to whether we realize it or not, whether we want to be or not. And as you say, firstly, we need to lead ourselves. Exactly. And depending on how we lead ourselves is how the rest of the world will respond to us. Exactly. And that's why self-love is so important to me, because when you feel good about yourself, that's how you show up. It's little things like, just having pride in your grooming. You don't have to wear haute couture clothes. You don't have to wear designer clothes. You don't have to, doesn't matter. You can wear Kmart. It doesn't matter. As long as it's clean and as long as, you feel good in it, that's really what it's all about. And it's about taking pride in yourself. So when you can feel good about yourself, you show up in a different way. You are full of love and joy, and you want to meet people from a space of feeling good because you feel good. And it's kind of like we're a mirror for, what we see. Oh, so people we see are a mirror for us. So when you feel good, you can see the good in other people. Exactly. And that's why I really love this whole self-love basis. And that's where the leadership is important. When we start with ourselves, then people see, oh my goodness, look at how Joy leads. Look at how she engages with people. Look at how she speaks to people. There's a lovely story, if I may, that supposedly Queen Victoria, when she was entertaining a high-ranking, maybe an ambassador or someone like that from one of the Eastern countries, when he came for dinner, there was a finger bowl, and he didn't know what a finger bowl was, so he picked up and drank from it. And obviously, everyone around kind of was sort of aghast, like, who drinks from a finger bowl? So what did the great lady do? She picked up her finger bowl and she drank from it. Once the Queen's drinking from her finger bowl, mate, everyone else has to drink from their finger bowl. That is leadership, right? And you don't have to be a queen.
Alyson, that is the most profound, deep, but yet simplistic definition or explanation of what real leadership is all about. And you started off talking about grooming. We're in the casual mode now, and some of us have gone too far over to the dark side. But this analogy, this example that you gave us about Queen Victoria and how you lead by example, you couldn't have given us anything better. And that leads me to something that you gave me, and I want you to expound on this a wee bit more, because this has always been my theory, and I know you know this. We are all leaders despite our official titles. And you just gave a prime example of that. So speak more about that.
And this is what I'm saying. You're a leader whether you realize or not, because how you behave is how you give other people. Marianne Williamson talks about giving people permission to feel good about themselves and to shine their light. And that is another way of saying that, how you behave is how other people will also behave. So when you treat people nicely, other people around you will see how you treat people, and that might give them an example of how they should treat people. And as mums, a lot of us are now teaching our children, not necessarily by what we tell them, but by what we do, because people watch what you do. In the workplace, people are watching what you do as well as what you say. So wherever we are leading by example.
I love that. And that's the truth, because you started off by saying grooming, and grooming has a lot to do with etiquette and decorum. And if you didn't get that, and if you're a perennial ongoing student, you like a sponge, you look around and you observe, because you want not to stay at the bottom of the ladder. as part of the collective, you want to keep climbing middle and to the top. But as you climb, you keep your heart and soul connected, because no one is better than anybody. This is why I love the work that you do. You know, leadership and titles don't mean that much if you don't utilize this example that you gave us from Queen Victoria. And I had never heard that before. I love that. And with your permission, I'll be using that a lot. Why do you think that we also have our own unique light, though some of us feel it not and it's dimmed? You spoke to that a wee bit in the beginning, and that aligns with that word you use, worthy and self-love. So tell us a little bit more about why each of us has our own unique light, but some of us aren't able to see and feel it, and it's dimmed.
Well, depending on your belief system, and my belief system, regardless of religion, is I do believe that we are all created as beautiful beings. We're all meant to be one. We're all born beautiful beings, and we're all meant to have the life that we want in greatest abundance. So when we realize that it doesn't matter what's happened to us, I deserve to have a life of abundance. And I'm not talking money. I'm talking abundance of good health. I'm talking an abundance of good relationships, an abundance of feeling good about yourself. I'm talking about just an abundance of joy in life. And I love that your name is Joy, because to me, you're joy by name and joy by nature. So when we have an abundance of things in our lives, we feel good about ourselves, right? But so many people feel they're not worthy enough of all this stuff. And when I say stuff, I don't mean stuff like in things. I mean all these aspects. And so they don't put themselves forward. Or someone gives them something, they say, oh, no, thank you. In fact, compliments, we're so bad at receiving compliments generally because we've been taught not to.
To accept.
And the thing is with me, Joy, because I'm a chatterbox, I can go off at a tangent, so please feel free to pull me back. So another way that, you know, our beautiful light is shut down is when we're children, we're told, be quiet, you'd be seen and not heard. We're told you have to go and kiss Uncle George, even though Uncle George is a creep. Right? So all of those ways we've been shut down bit by bit. So we stop trusting our own instincts. We stop trusting our own creativity. We stop trusting a whole lot of things about ourselves. And each time our light gets dimmer and dimmer. Now, not all of us are born Einstein. You go to school and there might be somebody who's better than you are at whatever. I'm sure there is. There is always someone better than you, but there's always that you're better than someone else.
Not better, my love, different than you are.
Well, that's true. This is what I mean. Comparisonitis is something that we get from school, because when we give people grades or numbers or letters, then you've got an A and I've got a C, so you're better than me. And I inadvertently said better, but I think it was probably subconsciously that I said it, because that's how we... That's how we've been programmed. So we've been programmed to say that A is better than F. We've been programmed that 100 is better than 60. And so that's why we don't feel worthy anymore. That's why, again, our light is dimmed. Now, as we evolve and we grow and we learn about what the world is really about and how we are all deserving, that's when we learn that there's no better, there's just different. So you have now come through, you know, many years of experience and wisdom to come to the realization that there's no better, we're all different. And as long as you're better than you were yesterday, the only person you compare yourself with is yourself. However, because that hasn't happened in general, but for some of us, we've been through a lot of sort of crud to get there. We've had a lot of stuff thrown at us. So it's taken a long time to get there. And then we realize that all of those people who might have been a little thing who've thrown all this mud on us has stuck and become layers encrusted, and all of that has dimmed our light. And as we grow and sort of develop more do more personal development, we start chipping that off, and then our light starts coming through. And that's really what I mean about, you know, having our light dimmed and having our light come through. Hopefully that makes sense.
No, it makes a heck of a lot of sense. And I love the explanation, because you spoke to all of it that I want to piggyback on, is that we are all like at a ladder. We're at the bottom, in the middle, at the top. One of the things that we have to change, you, myself, and all the other visionaries in League of Eagles out here, is that to stop the copy, comparing, and competing, because everyone has their different gifts. So no one is better than anybody, even that alcoholic, that drunk on the street, and all these other people that are you think much worse off than you are, and they are. You're not better than they are. You're just quite different, and you've had more opportunities and so on and so forth. So that's one of the things that my visionary outlook is all about, to let us know that we need to be the new examples, which is what you're doing. And I like what you said about being shut down and all this mud thrown upon us, because we are like sponges when we're evolving and growing. But there reaches a point, I think you said you were 53, and you realized you had to do your own work, and so did I, because you can't blame anybody for what you are misfortunate with, you think, in your life. It's time to own your power, your self-awareness, and so on and so forth. I love the way you explain things, Alyson. And then we come to, oh, no, you're spot on with it all, and clear, simplistic and clear. Love is the purest and greatest form of connection. Well, you know, my foundation is truth, love, and beauty. However they are combined, that's our foundation. And our moral compass has left that somewhere. So tell us why I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you. Love is the purest and greatest form of connection, because it is. The example that you gave about Queen Victoria is mind-boggling. Yes.
Yeah. I believe we were all created by love. As you know, as I said, regardless of your belief system, whether you believe in the universe or whether you believe in a God or whatever it might be, there is some higher order that has created humanity. Exactly. And I believe that's all, that we've been created from love. And it's also when we can feel love, then we are able to create a whole lot of more love. I'm probably sounding a bit kind of weird. So love as a creative force creates beauty. And I don't necessarily mean, aesthetic beauty, like, physical beauty. I mean, it's the beauty of spirit. It's the beauty of acknowledging, the sunshine or even the rain or, nature. That all is all love. It's really just an expansive energy. And when you are in this, I'm getting these goosebumps, but I mean, when you're in this expansive energy of love, it expands even further. And it's all again about, energy and vibration. And in fact, Tesla was talking about, if you want to understand the world, the universe, you need to know about vibration, frequency, and energy. And love is the highest form of energy. And when you're in that energetic space, that's what you vibrate. That's the frequency that you're sending out. And when you send that out, then it spreads. And as I said, it's so expansive, it can't help but spread. It's kind of like a smile. You walk down the street and you smile at someone. And the first person might look at you like, what's she doing? And they might for a little while sort of look quizzical, and then they might find themselves smiling too. And the more you keep walking down the street smiling, eventually you're going to get people smiling back. And they're going to start this smile mile, right? So that's just energy. And, you can walk into a room and you can just feel the energy in the room. That comes from the people around us. You walk into the room and you can feel tension. Same thing. We get vibes from people, right? So when you're vibing love and your frequency sending out there is love, what we are creating is a beautiful atmosphere of harmony, a beautiful atmosphere of acceptance, of tolerance, of decency, of, just being there for each other, of help and gratitude and generosity. So that's why I believe love is the...
Well, I believe right along with you, because truth, love, and beauty is the foundational base. I've said it over and over again, and I will repeat it often. And one of the things I want to speak to, and you spoke to it in a different way, and I want to take it a step further, because our concept of beauty, Alyson, is so distorted. All over the world. Everyone is attempting to, the influencers and the entertainers and all of these people, they're more convoluted and confused than most of us will ever be, yet they bring us so much joy and entertainment and love. But we have to redefine our concept of what beauty is all about. It's not just the exterior, it's what emanates from within. And that's what you're speaking about. And I really wanted to speak to that, because the copy, comparing, and competing is over. And when you speak about vibration, the form, and the energy, that's all that we're about. So how are we utilizing it? And when you speak about love being the purest energy, it is. But why we don't get that, we understand it now, right? Because it has a lot to do with our upbringing, an old-fashioned word that's still prevalent. We are the people who have to set the examples. So what are some suggestions that you can give to all of us who are in the league that you and I are in and striving for each and every day to be the best examples of ourselves and to learn to love ourselves. We're not perfect. We make a lot of mistakes, but we're on the path of wanting to be the best of the best within ourselves.
And I think what you've just said is actually one of the key, one of the keys, and that is to give yourself grace, because we're not perfect. We're never going to get it right all the time. That's part of our humanity. As humans, we are thinking, feeling people, and we will fail in inverted commas, right? In NLP, we say there's no such thing as failure. It's all feedback. That's why Thomas Edison didn't have 1,000 failures. He had 10,000 pieces of feedback, right? So when we give ourselves grace to fail, we realize actually we're just getting more information to continue. As they say, it's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get up. And that's the power that we need to give ourselves. Now, most people, men and women, will give other people the benefit of the doubt. And I take that back, maybe not men, they are built differently. Nothing against any guys out there. But generally, we tend to sort of be more harsh upon ourselves than we are with anybody else. The way we speak to ourselves, we wouldn't speak to any living other being on earth, right? So start giving yourself a bit of grace, a bit of kindness, a bit of compassion, the same way you would with someone else that you love. Which then brings me to the next thing, which is the words. Sorry.
No, you're spot on, because when you say that, a lot of that has to do, Alyson, with our belief system. Whatever your higher source, your higher power, higher authority, your divine source power, divine power, whatever that might be, it's different for each and every one, but it also emanates from within you. It has to start with us. We have to realize our own beauty, our own truth, our own integrity, and then go from there. So the way you speak about it, I love it, because that's where we all are headed now. We're in a new awakening. This is a new era. We don't have time to dilly-dally. We have time to share different things and experiment and trial and error, but it's time to really wake up. When you talk about combining, I love this one. Our light with love ensures we leave a powerful legacy. Now, you spoke to that in so many different ways, but I love the way you verbalize that to me. Combining our light with love ensures we leave a powerful energy. Love is a universal language.
Yeah. Before I go on to that, if you don't mind, Joy, I don't know that I fully answered that last question, because you gave me that beautiful gift of talking about, forgiving ourselves, also not being perfect. And one of the things that I tell everybody, please listen to the way you speak to yourself.
Exactly.
And that's why when we can give ourselves grace, we can stop saying, every time I made a mistake, I say, oh, you idiot. Now I don't say, oh, you idiot, when I make a mistake. I just say, oh, I made a mistake. Having said that, it's taken me years to get there. And occasionally I might still start to say, oh, and then I stop and go, oh, I made a mistake. So the awareness is the first step. So how we talk to ourselves and giving ourselves grace kind of go hand in hand. And get rid of shame, blame words like should have, must have, I must, I can't. Change your language. When you change your language, you will change how you feel about yourself.
Oh, wow.
So that's something we can do right here, right now, and give yourself grace. So those two things.
Yes, indeed. And spot on again, as all these jewels you're sharing with us, because I don't make excuses, but I had a lot of learning disabilities, and I loathed the word as a young lady, idiot, stupid, retarded, because I didn't want to call those, because I knew I wasn't. But I also knew that there were other people who were intaking stuff quicker and faster than I was. Had nothing to do with my brain and my beauty and my truth about me. So I love the way you say that. And thank you for that clarification, because it means a lot. The way we speak to ourselves, sooner than later, your example was really good, because that's where we have to go. So now let's get to this combining our light with love.
Thank you.
It ensures we leave a powerful, because that's what we're all here to do, a powerful legacy. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I've got a bit of a chest issue.
I think it's going around everywhere. It's everywhere.
There's a saying, so in one of these, self-development things I attended, they were talking about everything we make it, everything we do is a decision. So if you decide to do something, it's a decision. And if you don't do it, that's a decision not to do it. So
Exactly.
Everything you do is a decision. In the same way, everything you do is part of your legacy, whether you are doing it intentionally or unintentionally. So I would say, please intentionally leave your legacy. What kind of legacy do you want to leave? When I say legacy, I'm not talking about the whole of the world. I'm not talking about a global legacy. I'm talking about the legacy in your family, in your workplace, in everywhere you go. When you go to the supermarket, or when you go to the gas station, or when you go wherever, that's the legacy you're leaving, right? Because we are all the stone that creates ripples, and the ripples are our legacy. So how you are when you are that stone that falls into the water is your legacy. And when we step into our light of, realizing that we are all worthy, and we've got rid of all the crud that other people have thrown at us, we can then start loving ourselves. And when we love ourselves, we show up in a beautiful way as our best self. Not like the person next to you. Their light is different. We each have our own unique light. And my light is absolutely awesome. Nobody's light is anything like mine. And my light is fabulous as it is, as is everyone else's. And imagine if all our lights were turned on around the world, how beautiful it would be. Different lights from all over the planet, all over the globe, shining in a different way, adding a different element, a different frequency, a different flavor, a different color. Amazing.
Yes. I completely agree with all of that beauty that you shared, because there was a time, and it's not because I'm in this season of life right now, legacy and soul were not words and beauty that you spoke about the way that we do now. And when you say a powerful legacy, that's what we want to leave, and we leave it whether we recognize it or not, and we're all worthy of doing just that. I tell you, one of the things that I think, and I'd like your take on this before we say so long for now, we never say goodbye, that when we talk about legacy and soul and the truth, love, and beauty of us, everybody now wants to be a celebrity, an influencer, an expert, a superstar, an idol. It emanates from within, and back to Queen Victoria and that beautiful example you gave us, it all starts with loving ourselves. You can't be a great celebrity, influencer, expert without knowing that somewhat, even though you give us so much. So how do you analyze that, and how do you speak to that? You spoke to it in so many ways, but give us a little bit more about the legacy and soul and loving ourselves so that we can be our own influencers. We can be our own celebrities, still celebrate and applaud all of those out there, but love ourselves in a way that speaks to our greatness.
Well, a lot of that just comes from, to my mind, respecting yourself.
Great word.
All of that is also based on your values. So I live my life by my values, and I am part of my coaching training, I'm happy to say, taught me that boundaries are connected to your values. When you connect your boundaries, your values, you will keep your boundaries. So many people talk about not being able to keep boundaries or having healthy boundaries. I don't think they were taught properly. And I know this sounds very judgmental, but I think when you know how to create healthy boundaries, you're more likely to keep them. So when your values are the foundation of who you are, how you show up, then you will sort of put that out there to the world, and then your boundaries will absolutely underpin those. And when that happens, then you are absolutely showing up as the best you. And when you're showing up as the best you, then that's the legacy you're leaving for the world, the best you. I'm not sure if I've answered your question.
No, you did. You did brilliantly, because respect, values, and boundaries are what it's all about. You also mentioned a word that I want to speak to a wee bit, because for a time I used to think that people thought that I was very judgmental, but then I realized that was their issue, because I'm not judgmental. I am very discerning. I see, I feel, and I know things, but I don't judge people. I just blow kisses and love, and I keep moving on, because we all began at a certain level and escalate up. So I like that word discernment, and I know that you have it as well. I don't know where the time goes here, Alyson. It goes too quickly. You have to come back again, because your information is powerful in so many ways. What pearls of wisdom, what takeaway what do you want to leave us with that? And by the way, let us know how we can connect with you. This is audio, so we don't get a chance to scroll across all the stuff that'll have them connecting with you. So give us a little bit about how they can connect with you, and then give us your pearls of wisdom and your takeaway.
Well, the best way to connect with me is on Facebook, and I'm Alyson with a Y, Alyson Williams. And I'm quite happy for people to send me DMs as well on Facebook Messenger. Because I don't know, email is something I'm not very good at, because I get, like many of us, thousands of emails. So I'm not always diligent at looking at my emails, but Messenger hits you in the face. You can't escape it. Pearls of wisdom. Well, as I said before, I was blessed to be born to a woman who was just the best teacher and the greatest role model. She's the best person I've ever known in my whole life. And that's saying a lot, because I've met people like you, right? But she used to always say, I've forgotten what I was going to say now, it's gone out of my head. There's so many pearls of wisdom. But basically, she used to say, people can only treat you badly with your permission, right? Yeah. So, and this comes back to your values and your boundaries and owning your worth, shining your light. Because when people treat you badly, you go, hang on, my light, you've just dimmed my light, lady, and that's not on. And again, being very respectful by saying, hey, Alyson, just if you don't mind, what you said I just found a little bit offensive. So I don't know whether you meant it, but that's just how I felt. I just want you to know that, right?
Yes.
And when you say it in that way, how can they take offense? Because as they said, anybody can take away anything except your birthday and your feelings. Exactly. And if this is how I feel, that's how I feel. And I'm being honest, and I'm telling you, and I'm not saying you made me. I'm saying when you said that, this is how I felt. So that, I think, would be perhaps and maybe another pearl of wisdom that, your listeners can take away, is that rather than saying you did this, because we ultimately have responsibility ourselves, which is something you said earlier, Joy, we determine for ourselves. So taking responsibility for our own thoughts, words, and actions is all powerful.
Alyson, you really are the Self-Love Alchemist. I love the name. I love sharing this time and space with you, because your work ignites mine. And it's all about divine femininity, truth, love, and beauty. The masculine and the feminine combined, and equality and all of that good stuff. I'm going to put you in the green room for now. Thank you. Don't go anywhere, and I'll be back with you in just a second.
Thank you.
What can I say? Thank you, my Eagles, for spending this time with us. I appreciate your energy, your presence, and more importantly, your time. I leave you with this. It's my gem. Alyson left us with so much to think about. Empowerment means nothing without liberation. And what she shared with us so lovingly is liberation has to happen before you get to the empowerment of self. I invite you to reach out to next week's episode and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Joy Ruffen, Fashioning Femininity, Style, and Truth. Ooh, and don't forget, joyruffen.com/style clarity, my new bundles that are waiting for you, because we're talking about image, presence, and power, yours. And we want to make sure that your image and your presence and personality reflect the core of who you are. Now, here's my takeaway. I have so many that Alyson shared with me, but we talk about leadership of self first. And her example about Queen Victoria, I had never heard before. I loved it. Leadership and how she explained it. And if you want to go back and listen to it again, please do, because that was beyond power. That is one of the best examples of real leadership that I've ever heard. And I've heard a lot. Where you always will find us and be a part of this soulful conversation is to connect with us. There's so many ways that you can do this. I'd love to have you as a featured guest speaker as well. My League of the Eagles, thank you for sharing this space with me. Our featured guest speaker, Alyson Williams, she didn't say, she said LinkedIn and Facebook, but also I know she's on WhatsApp, and you can find her everywhere. And we'll put her name and information on the poster that we'll be sending out. Thank you for sharing this time with us. We love good company. Until the next time, your assignment, you know we love homework here. Stay radiant, stay confident, and stay powerful, your power, letting your light lead the way. Until we connect the next time, and soon we will, remember to let your light take center stage. My eagles, I send you always much, much love from my heart to yours until the next time. And until that time, be and stay well. All the best. Much love. Cheers.